Hi, I'm Terry Ann Wilkie, VP of Corporate Communications for Barksdale Resources. Barksdale Resources is an exploration company, base metals exploration company, focused in southern Arizona in the district of Patagonia. We are advancing the Sunnyside property. The Sunnyside property is adjacent to South 32's Taylor Hermosa.
Terry Ann, lovely to see you. I think we met her on a panel a few weeks ago, and I thought you were a great value there. Right. I think there's a learning exercise. We're not met or spoken in the context of Barksdale before. So if you don't mind, it's a bit of a data download from you. Let's start off with you and the team. So tell me a bit about you and some of the team members.
So I've been in this business for about 18 years. Started my career in gold exploration, moved over to gold production in southern Peru, and then ended up working in the lithium space for a little dabble, and then focused on base metals now. So it's been exciting. Our CEO, Rick Trotman, really well-rounded guy, geologist by trade, but worked with RCF, Resource Capital Funds, for a number of years and deployed a lot of capital in their exploration portfolios. And then he joined the company 5-6 years ago. So we're in good hands at the top. And then we've got a great board and extremely proficient technical people.
Right. Okay. So tell me about Sunnyside. Okay. So how did that asset get picked up? Where's it from? And what do we know about it?
So our joint venture partner there is Regal, and they had the property for a number of years. And at the time, Arizona Mining was next door, and a group of really savvy gentlemen out of Toronto made a deal. Guys from Metallist made a deal with Regal to earn in 67.5%. And the idea was to bridge the relationship between Arizona Mining and Regal and maybe catalyze, a deal. But at the time we got the deal in place and Rick got to the helm, they already had a deal in place with South 32. So it was our mission then to dive into permitting and advance the project to hopefully attract South 32's eye.
So do you there's still this chance of a 67% ownership, or is it completely being going to rewritten?
So it's an earn-in. So we are in the process of earning into 67.5%. And this drill program, the first step of this drill program, this active drill program, will get us to 51. And then subsequently, with more drilling, we'll get to the 67.5%.
Right, and was it just a per meter or is it a dollar target in terms of that?
It's a combination. So there is dollars spent, and to achieve the 67.5%, we will be drilling 50,000 feet, not meters, feet. So
feet.
50,000 meters.
Right, and I know you've got another project in San Javier, but we're not going to talk about that because I don't think it's kind of core focus for you at this point. So you also mentioned South 32, big company. How are they involved?
So South 32 has the property adjacent to us. We're separated by a tiny little fence, and they are advancing their world-class Taylor Hermosa deposit. They've done an exceptional job on the ground. They've advanced this really quite quickly. They picked that up for $2.1 billion in 2018 from Arizona Mining. And that was a cash deal. And it was all cash, and it was at a PEA stage. So we know their project is getting bigger. They've also have a ton of blue sky on their property as well, with that peak prospect that they found this last year.
Right. Okay. Now, if I look at a map of your property, South 32's property, it seems quite sort of intertwined. And I know you've got a few, not just Sunnyside, you've got a handful of others in there too. How does that affect your decision making as to what you do on your property and to what end?
Well, the great thing is we have the discovery holes that were drilled in the 1980s for the Taylor deposit. So it's looking like very much that we share a part of that world-class Taylor deposit, and it extends on our side of the fence. As well, the porphyry, we believe that caused that entire system is the Sunnyside porphyry, which resides on our side as well. So our job right now with our drill program is to go in, confirm that high-grade resource is there, 2, find more of that high-grade resource, and 3, really knock that 51% out of the park with this campaign right now, and then move towards that 67.5%, all the while finding more of that high grade resource, moving towards the porphyry.
Okay, so you've done a drill program to going to earn, and was it 51% you talked about? So tell me about that. What did you discover? What do you now know about what you've got?
Well, we certainly got a lot of information from what little we've done so far. Our first hole was a little bit of a hiccup, but what we did find out is that we're exactly where we need to be. What we did is we re-entered the old Asarco hole and wedged off. And unfortunately, we hit a big void, which we weren't able to get to the other side. But the good news is, what that means is these voids are there in these large CRD systems. It's normal to have these voids. And what we've discovered is that when you encounter these, I made notes here, these caves, it means that there's generally some high grade skarn and bodies along it, the edges or at the base of it. So on the other side of the fence, that large Taylor Hermosa deposit, they encountered many caves. So it's consistent with what they're seeing on the other side. We know in the right spot. So what we did is we moved over and started a new hole. And that's going exceptionally well, albeit very, very slow because these are very deep holes.
Like how deep? How much is it? What's the per hole cost if they're deep?
Give or take, depending on if we're doing a wedge or we're going from the top down, it'll vary. But from what I'm hearing, it's about maybe $300 a feet,
Right.
foot.
Okay.
Sorry, a meter.
A meter. Yeah.
Sorry,
All in.
I'm working in the US, so we have feet and meters, so I get a little bit confused.
No, I hear you.
A meter.
I'm with
My
you.
apologies.
So how many meters are you drilling? Is
Couple
each
thousand
hole?
for sure.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Couple thousand meters. So they're deep holes. That said, it sounds deep. It sounds expensive, and to be able to mine that would be, a bit of a, it's hard to wrap your head around that. But South 32 is sinking 2 shafts at the bottom of their deposit, at the base of the deposit. So it kind of de-risks our depth. If they're already underground, it's a matter of economics going right or left. So our job is to make sure that those Mother Nature plays nice and we pull out more of that high grade that Asarco found in the 80s.
Right. So is your job to make this look real pretty for South 32? Is that the game? And if so, that's the only game in town, right?
Possibly. We have amazing shareholders. Teck Resources, another mining giant, is on our roster, and I'm sure they're on that roster, keeping a very close eye on what we're doing moving forward. But yes, South 32 is definitely pushing their asset forward. Again, they have a lot of blue sky on their property, but really hard to access for them because they never really received, well, they actually never received a permit beyond their patented mining claims. And Barksdale was successful after 5 years permitting in this district. We did receive a 7-year permit to drill 24 hours a day on over 30 pads. So the good news is, we are capable of, because the properties are literally adjacent, separated by the fence, and they've literally, the Taylor deposit goes right up to the property boundary. We are able to basically put the drill on the property boundary and drill back onto their side of the fence to, possibly help them out if they want it.
Okay, interesting. But it's an interesting model in the sense that I think some people might say to you, well, you're kind of out of control in terms of the timing there, because it's going to be beholden to what else they're doing, what else they're going to focus on, and when they think they need that help. So therefore, do you have to say, well, there's a certain amount of money we're going to spend on our side of the fence, and that'll give us and anyone else looking in enough data to say, well, potentially these two things should come together sooner rather than later, and if so, have you got a sense of what that time frame is and what that dollar value is in terms of what you're going to need to spend and or raise?
Good question, Matt. I think what the key things are, one, really get to that 67.5%, but two, it's going to come down to grade. If we find a boatload of super high grade that'll displace, the grades that they're seeing in their year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if we've got more than double the grade on our side of the fence, which is not far. It's like when you stand on our property, you can hear them building. We have conversations across the fence. So I think it's going to come down to grade. If we can displace what they're seeing in their mine plan, it's literally just a matter of going right or left. I think that's going to be a key thing.
I hear you there, but I think what you said a few seconds ago was that the permits, which have taken you 5 years to get, are valuable, not just to you,
exceptionally
but
valuable,
potentially for them as well. As to whether a question of whether they want to keep drilling for the next 5 years. What can they do actually? You talk about 24/7 drilling almost. So
what they've been able to achieve is on their patent mining claims, they've been able to drill out what they have with Taylor. And Taylor is a world-class deposit. What they've also done is they put their drill to the edge of their patent mining claim, and they drilled out as far as humanly possible, I would imagine. And they found that peak target, which is, probably to me, their sexiest thing going right now. They were seeing what they disclosed, or I guess EMX disclosed it, some exceptional copper grades. And it's looking like it leads towards our property. And they really just can't drill further towards us, I would imagine, because possibly they're afraid of mineral trespass. But again, we're right there, and we could possibly use, or we could definitely use our permit to get to their side as well. So it's a valuable, if they were to take us out, they would inherit that permit and they could drill all they want. And again, that saves them 5 years, a lot of time, a lot of money. And they are spending quite a bit of money at the moment advancing Taylor.
Okay. So, what about money for you guys at the moment? Obviously, these are deep wells. Your first well is. Did you get data from that? Was it? You say it was. You encountered some problems. Was there some data that you could recover as a case if you're going to go back in and see what you can get from that? And if so, how does that inform the next holes, the series of holes that you may want to try and drill?
So we do have assays in the lab. So we are waiting for that, hoping those come back with some good news for our shareholders. But we're still not done with that hole, and it's getting very exciting from what I hear on the ground. So I honestly, I wish I was down in Arizona watching it come out of the ground, but stuck here in the cold and the snow. But
talking to me. Thank you very much.
That hole is still
right. Okay, so maybe some exciting news to come there. We'll come back on and tell us about it if and when it does.
Love to.
So coming back to the original question around money is like obviously pretty crappy markets the last 2 years more broadly. It's expensive money at the moment in the market. How do you go about raising money in a market like this? What do you think they're going to want to hear from you? What data can you put together before you go and ask for that money?
Good question. Over the years, because we've been a boring permitting story, it gave us a lot of time to curate a really mining savvy, heavy investor list. Strong hands. Again, Teck Resources. The guys over at Crescat have a large position. US Global has been with us for quite some time. Osisko Development, actually the investment came from Osisko Gold Royalties at the time because they had the royalty over equity investment and royalty over with Arizona Mining on the Taylor side. So they knew the district really well. And then once they had that exit, they came to us and invested in us as well. Just they understood the district, they understood the rocks, and really believed that we had the extension. So we have very, very strong shareholders, which gives us a little bit of leverage going into these financings. It's not an easy market. It's very tough. We have an exceptional retail base of shareholders that are loyal and really active. They call the company all the time, which I love. So we were able to get some money in the door this past month, like the last 4 weeks, I would imagine, over Christmas. But it is tough. But we are going to deploy that capital to get results and to really try to get to that 51% of our earn-in. And then moving forward, once we get assays out, we really hope the market does respond, which could be, I see some really great companies putting out some barn burning results and they're getting no love. But I do believe, our results will resonate to the market just because it's been such a long haul through that permitting. And we're finally there.
Do you think you're chasing the right commodities in the sense that I know there's copper in
100%.
Loving copper, right?
Copper,
what about
zinc,
the rest of it?
Copper, zinc, silver. I mean, when you're talking this energy transition and this decarbonization, we are, our silver numbers are barn burning. We know we need silver for solar. We know we need silver for so many things, really. It's not just a precious metal. It's an industrial metal, really. Copper, we need more copper than people can possibly imagine. There's more copper in electric vehicles. Even in medical now, they're covering everything with copper since that lovely pandemic. Everything needs to be, bacteria free. But again, the energy transition, the US came out really supporting South 32's process. They've got the FAST-41 because these are critical metals that are needed for this decarbonization movement. South 32 is the first company in the US to receive that FAST-41 permit. And just on the back of receiving that, then the US added copper to those critical metals. So we really need to get these assets to market, the commodities to market, because there's going to be a shortage. There's no doubt.
Okay. I'm hoping so. Just on copper, okay, and referenced it earlier, Saint-Javier. That's a copper project where so PA not done but started. Is that the general gist?
About to be completed.
About to be completed. Okay, and you're sitting with a lot of copper there at the moment. So it's a question of, I guess, best allocation of capital and best return on that capital invested. So for you, obviously, Sunnyside is focus. I guess, what is it? Is it lowest hanging fruit compared to Saint-Javier, or have you just not seen the love for Saint-Javier?
Oh, I do love Saint-Javier. I think Saint-Javier.
Are you getting it in the market? That's the decider.
Well, I think because I'm an investor in the company first, and so when the investors suffer, I suffer alongside with them. The one thing I love about Saint-Javier is because it's so advanced, and it can be. It's a very straightforward asset. It can be brought to production pretty quickly, albeit it's a smaller asset. And with copper being so hot at the moment, there's a lot of eyeballs on that one. So it will serve a purpose potentially for our investors. We just won't be putting any money into it. But our dollars are best spent. The torquiest asset we have is Sunnyside. So we will deploy our capital there. But Saint-Javier is a great asset that will no doubt serve our shareholders.
At some point, it has some future value. Okay. Well, just as a kind of like overview of this, I wasn't kind of set on sort of digging you out on anything, or is this really sort of try and work out what you've got going on? I mean, if you're talking to your shareholders now, what are you going to be pointing at in 2024, which is going to make a big difference for them?
Results, high grade results, getting our earn-in completed. Because then we move to a straight, joint venture. They'll be able to participate pro rata, which will be helpful to us. We won't be so out of pocket. And we could advance this thing, as a team, and possibly move faster.
What's the name of the game, hopefully, in 2020? Well, I think that part of the name of the game is to be still at the table playing the game for 2024. It's been a sort of tough couple of years, as I say, but appreciate you coming in, Terry, and telling us all about it. It sort of caught the eye. We wondered what it was about. Now I know. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I look forward to being back with some great news.